Since the first quavering burst of static on the air, those who send, receive, and regulate the flow of messages have been skirmishing about who controls the airwaves. The battle over who's in charge continues because TV is far more than a medium for transferring information and more than a very lucrative business.
Use Ajax, boom, boom. The foaming cleanser. Boom, 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 boom. Gets things clean just like a whiz.
TV, by dictating much of what we see and hear, is a unique social institution that determines most of the information we get about all other social institutions: the school, the church, the family, and government.
The candidates need no introduction. The Republican candidate, Vice President Richard M. Nixon, and the Democratic candidate, Senator John F. Kennedy.
I may not get there with you.
Television has changed the course of history. Its power cannot be overestimated.
The best evidence of what these tapes say is the tapes themselves.
I came here to tell you the truth, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Inexorably conditioning our notions of who we are, what we want, whom to vote for, and what to buy. It is a regulatory agent in its own right, a government of the perceptions.
It connects people, including very large groups who used to be parochial, who used to be isolated, who used to be out of it. They're all brought into the mainstream, as in a tribal religion. In other words, it illuminates the meaning of life.
The Communications Act of 1934 is the cornerstone of broadcasting law. This act requires television stations, as trustees or guardians of the public airwaves, to provide programs that serve the public interest, convenience, and necessity. Now, this language was drawn directly from the Radio Act of 1927. Senator Clarence Dill of Washington State was its primary author.
Now, that word public interest interests me. What did it mean to you at that time?
The public interest basis is the Magna Carta of the radio law. It is the guarantee that the public will, that these stations will operate in the interest of the public. We didn't have any conception, of course, of television or what it has become.
But you made the term deliberately flexible in the context of what public interest means.
Public interest we thought was broad, so broad that it could be made, it could be interpreted.
The public interest may be said to have begun in broadcasting with the Titanic disaster. In 1912, after the SS Titanic sank, signal interference delayed the relaying of rescue information. The air was jammed. This catastrophe precipitated the Radio Act of 1912.
The broadcasters asked for regulation because there was all this engineering chaos. And so they said in 1927 and again in 34, we want this scheme where we volunteer to serve the public interest, the government licenses one person to be on this frequency and enjoins everybody else.
They gave away the licenses, and they knew that they were giving away something very, very valuable. Even back in, by 1934, they certainly knew it with radio stations. They knew it even more when television came along. They said, all right, we'll give you this. We'll give you this opportunity to make a fortune, but you have to do something in return. And that something is that you have to be a public trustee.